Have you ever been in the middle of a city and your internet isn't working on your phone and you wonder, how is it possible I don't have the internet right now? Stupid at&t or Verizon or T-Mobile? Well, that's where today's miner comes in hand to help solve this issue. It's called the XP6-PRO from XNET. It's got quite the use case, and I think if this team executes and we see a crazy bull run, this project could be the next Helium. Okay, that's probably a stretch, but I do think there's some potential with this project. Now to start off, in full disclosure, I did not buy this device. The XNET team sent it to me to review for you today, but I'm going to tell you everything I like and don't like about this miner and this project. First, let's start off with a quick overview. XNET touts itself as the first blockchain-powered mobile carrier. They're looking to solve capacity issues and coverage gaps on cellular networks, and it could be huge if they can pull this off. That's where this XP6-PRO device comes in. You deploy this device in a busy location, such as a gym, a bar, a coffee shop, or a restaurant. You connect it to the business's Wi-Fi network, and people's cellular data gets offloaded through this device. It's completely automatic, so people don't even realize their internet is being routed through Wi-Fi instead of a 5G network. This helps to alleviate data congestion from the cell carrier. The cell carrier pays XNET per gigabyte of data transferred, and then XNET pays the miner owner in XNET token rewards. It's a pretty neat solution if you ask me. According to their Explorer, there are currently only 865 XNET radios deployed, with 774 of those currently up and running. It's currently only available in the United States and certain areas of Canada, so sorry to you friends on the other side of the pond, we'll have to wait for you guys on this one. XNET currently has a contract to offload cell data with at&t, but they are in talks with other major US cell carriers, so I wouldn't be surprised to see some other large carriers added soon. These devices earn the XNET token, which according to CoinGecko is currently trading for just over 4 cents today on August 14th, 2024. It's been trading for just under a year now and hit an all-time high on May 5th of just under 50 cents. So it's still got a very tiny market cap total market cap of just under 3 million at this point. And if you look, you see the fully diluted market cap is just under $1 billion. So we've got a whole lot of coins that are going in circulation for this project over the coming years. If we go down here to the contract info, you can see it's currently being traded on the Polygon network, but they are currently in the process of migrating the project over to Solana, which should be completed in the next few weeks. I personally think going with Swan is the best choice here for DePIN projects, as it's very cheap, it's easy to use, and it has the most users and liquidity of any blockchain out there right now. Now, if we go over to the current markets, you can see it's currently listed on 2 different DEXs, QuickSwap and Uniswap. Now, obviously, that'll probably change once they migrate over to Solana. It'll probably move to a DEX such as Radium. So if we go over to XNET's website, you can see all the current products they currently have available for sale on their website. They have both indoor and outdoor different types of access points. Now we have the XP6-PRO, which is by far their cheapest model, coming in at $199. Now they also do have a deal going on for a limited time. You can get the 2000 XNET token bonus with your purchase. Now they do have some specifications on the requirements for that bonus. We go down here to the bottom, this bonus requirement. To qualify for this bonus, you need a minimum data offload of 10 gigabytes per week for 4 consecutive weeks after you deploy your device, which shouldn't be difficult if you're in a public location. Now, one other thing, if you use my link in the description below, you can also get an additional 200 XNET token bonus. So you'll get 2,200 XNET tokens with your purchase if you use my link below. So 2,200 times the current price, 0.04154, looks like 91 bucks off your order. So almost cutting this cost in half at this point. So really quite cheap, especially when you compare it to a lot of other miners we've reviewed on this channel. The next question everyone always has is, how much is this thing's gonna make? How long will it take for me to ROI? And that's a tough question to answer because your earnings are gonna be very dependent on your location. But what I did find is I found this Google Doc on their Discord, which details out the different rewards that each device has been making so far by epoch. So here's a total summary of all the rewards. If we go over to Data Rewards Dispersal tab, this shows each device and the device type, and then the awards distributed by epoch. So each epoch is a 2-week period, I believe. So this latest epoch is epoch 44. So if we look at the XP6-PROs, you can see for this past several, looks like 6 epochs, almost all of them have been earning this 375 XNET tokens per epoch. So I think what's going on right now is, since they are still in a testnet phase, they're not actually getting rewarded based on the actual data that you're transferring through your device. And they're just doing a standard straight across the board reward for each person at this point. So we take, let's pull up your calculator again, 375 times 0.04154. You're looking at $15.57 per 2-week period times 2. You're looking at 31 bucks a month. So essentially take 110 divided by that 31, you're looking at 3.5 months for a break even at this point. But obviously that depends on the XNET token staying consistent in value, which that's not always the case. And I'm not sure when exactly they're going to switch over to rewarding for based on your actual data used versus these testnet rewards essentially at this point. But still, it's nice to see actual rewards being distributed for all these different devices across the network. I will link this Google Doc spreadsheet in the description below if you want to check it out more. It does detail out every single device and all the different types of devices and the rewards. And they've got different tabs in terms of your registration rewards, your early registration bonuses, and then total accumulated rewards. So if you want to look into this Google Doc in more detail, I will link that in the description below so you guys can check it out. Next, let's see what comes in this XP6-PRO box and set this thing up. So here we have everything that came in the box. We have the XP-PRO device that's made by Alta Labs. It also came with 2 Ethernet cords, a 10-footer and a 3-footer. And then we have this injector PoE device, which will help to power the device and connect the Ethernet cords. It also came with a quick install guide. It is very straightforward. It's really only plugging in a couple things. So first, let's open up this PoE injector. You may be familiar with these. A very similar one for my Match XM2 Pros. It's a really slick little device. You connect 2 Ethernet cords on one side and then a power plug on the other side. And like I mentioned earlier, we have 2 Ethernet cords. One Ethernet cord will go between this device and the PoE injector. And the other Ethernet cord will go from the PoE injector into your router. So if we open up the XP-PRO device, you can see here it is quite a small and slick little device. And this will have your registration address on the back of this as well for when you're registering this on their website. And then they also have a quick install guide in there, and then we have mounting brackets and different mounting screws for mounting it into different types of hardware, whether it be concrete or wood or drywall. And this is the total of all the different items within the box. Now, setting up your device is fairly straightforward, but one thing I did find that was very helpful when looking to set up my device is I found this guide from SimonOnSecurity.com, where he basically put an ultimate guide together on how to optimize your installation of your device. He goes through an explanation of the project, the regions available, the differences between all the different devices, and essentially the best ways to set up your device. So I will link this in the description below. It's got some really good information in it. I don't want to bore you with going through it all here, but essentially you read through this so you can optimize your setup so you can earn the most rewards when this thing does go officially live. Now, once I had my device mounted and hooked up to my router, it was really just filling out this activation form on XNET's website and essentially waiting for my device to become fully active and set up online. Now, the problem is at this point, there is no dashboard where you can check and monitor your activity for your device. My understanding is the team is working on building a dashboard. So it is kind of frustrating at this point that there's no way to really monitor the amount of activity that's flowing through your device in terms of the data, unless you were to actually connect to the network and monitor it directly on the network. So hopefully they can add that here in the future, just so you can get a good gauge of what your future rewards may look like. Next, let's quickly go over the pros and cons I see with this project and this XP6-PRO specifically. First pro I see is the cost. It's quite the low price point when you're looking at a project like this, coming in at $199, and especially if you factor in those additional tokens you receive for signing up, it is quite the low price point, as well as ongoing earnings you're going to get and no ongoing cost associated with this project. So obviously much better than a lot of ASICs or GPU miners right now, which are very cost intensive in terms of ongoing power costs. Second, we are still very early in this project, and as we've learned on this channel and many times in the past, when we can get into projects earlier, that is really the most lucrative time for us. So it's always good to try to jump into these projects before everyone else does. So I think we're still very much early with this project. I looked on YouTube, there's only a couple videos covering this at all on YouTube at this point. So I think this still is quite an unknown project at this point. And next pro I see is this is quite the use case. I think you really do need a strong use case for a project to gain traction over time and to get some interest from the general public. And this is really trying to solve a real world problem. And it's not just a hypothetical, push your token out to everybody and a few people get rich. So I think it is a very good use case in terms of a crypto project. And that's really what I like to see for a project to gain strong momentum over time. And finally, pro, I really would like it if you'd hit that like button for me. It really does help to spread this video and helps to support the channel. So thank you very much for doing that. So next, let's look at the cons I see with this project. With every project, there are always going to be pros and cons. So I think it's good to really keep a proactive view of some of the negatives that any project potentially could have. And first, the big one that I mentioned earlier is this is very much location dependent. You really need to find a setup and a location that has consistent traffic where people are sitting on their phones, like coffee shops, cafes, restaurants, gyms, and those type of places. And it's probably not going to work trying to set this up at your house unless you've got something like a bus stop outside or you live above a bar or something like that. But that personally sounds kind of awful. So unfortunately, I think that's going to be the sticking point with this project, is going to be trying to convince a business owner to put this thing in their business. And without a good idea on how much this thing is going to make long term, it's really hard to get into any negotiations or contracts about revenue share arrangements. And if you even mention crypto to most people, they will laugh at you. Unfortunately, I think crypto is still a very niche topic for the general public, but that means we are still very much early. Next con I see is I think this, although we are still very early, I think that comes with a significant risk as well. With only 800 stations deployed at this point and a tiny market cap, a few roadblocks or a bear market could completely derail a project like this. There's also significant competition out there that could end up beating these guys in the long run. So there's always a risk that the project could go under. You always have to keep that in mind when jumping into a project like this. The good thing with devices like this is a lot of times there's an opportunity to reflash the device where you could potentially use it for a new project in the future. For instance, we did that with our Match XNET Pros last year, where we reflashed it with Crank's software and started running our Crank on Match XNET Pros. But they also tried to stop everybody from doing that, but were obviously unsuccessful. That's just one example where a lot of times we can repurpose devices in the future for future projects, which is something to keep in mind. And then the last con I see here is, the last con I see is a lack of earnings clarity at this point. Right now, they're still earning testnet rewards. They're going through a big transitioning from Polygon over to Solana. So there's always risk when you do transitions like that. We don't know what these earnings are going to look like long term, if they're going to be able to negotiate large contracts with some of the other major cell carriers and what the terms of those contracts are going to be. So we're largely in the dark at this point in terms of how much these devices are going to make long term. But I think that is just a risk you have to be willing to take if you're going to jump into a project like this. Now, like I mentioned in the cons, I think finding a good location to deploy one of these is going to be the biggest hurdle to participating in this project. If you can find one, it really is a low-cost, high-potential reward project, which we like to find here. I'll keep you updated on how this one progresses in my month-end earnings review videos. Now, one last thing, my wife and I did have our baby girl a couple weeks ago. Passive Crypto Mining's channel sent me this cute little channel-themed onesie, which we all got a kick out of. So thank you very much for all of you who sent your congrats and best wishes. I hope you guys have a good week. Thanks for watching. Bye.